Welcome to part 2 of our tutorial series. Now today we'll be talking about how to build the main body of your paper. That's going to include the introduction, the discussion, your headings if you choose to use them, and your conclusion. So to start with, we're on page 2 right under our title page, as you can see. So the first thing we're going to do is write our introduction. That's basically going to be an overview of what your paper is about. You want to keep it brief and under one page. Now, your first inclination would be to label that as introduction, but we actually want to put the title of our paper right here. So we're going to hit the center key because we want to center it and type the title of our paper. Now, you want to make sure it's not bolded and once again that it's centered. So when you've done that, you're going to hit the enter key. We want to make sure we click the align left button to align our text back to the left. And since we're starting a new paragraph, you always start your paragraph by hitting the tab key and then you start typing. Now that we're here, I want to mention this because this is an easy mistake that many people make. When you're doing a professional paper, you want to always make sure you hit the space key twice at the end of a sentence after your punctuation mark. So after our period, we're going to hit the space bar twice. 1, 2. In sentence, 1, 2. It doesn't matter if it's a period, question mark, any kind of punctuation at the end of the sentence, you always space twice. 1, 2. And make sure you do this. This is something that sticks out to me like a sore thumb. I will notice this, and I don't want you to lose points on that, so always be very careful when you're spacing out after punctuation. So we've written our introduction. Like I said, you want to make sure you keep that under a page. We're going to hit the enter key, and this is where we begin the main discussion of our paper. So what I want you to do is label that as discussion. You're going to hit the center key here, again, center, write the word discussion. Highlight that and bold it. Hit enter. So we want to flush left again. Now, it is optional. You don't have to use headings, but I do recommend it because it gives your paper a very nice professional look, and it helps divide up the sections of your paper so it's easier to follow and to read. So if you decide to use headings, you want to make sure you're flush left, and we're also going to bold this text here. So if you were starting your paper out by discussing the pathology, you would put a heading that reads something along the lines of pathology discussion. You don't have to use that terminology exactly. You can use whatever heading you want. You just want to make sure it's relevant to what you're talking about. So you have your heading, hit enter. Make sure you turn the bold off, otherwise all your text will stay bolded. Hit tab key because we're starting a new paragraph. And this is where you would start talking about your pathology and everything you want to say about pathology based on your research. So now that we're done with our pathology, we're going to go to our next section. Let's say you want to talk about technology next. So just keep it simple. I'm going to label this as technology discussion. And once again, you can use any terminology you want. Just make sure it's relevant to what you're talking about. Highlight your text, bold it, because we want those headings to be bolded. Hit enter, take your bold off, hit the tab key to start a new paragraph, and then you start talking about your technology. So now that you've done all your sections, you're ready to wrap up your paper. That's going to be called the conclusion section. So what you want to do when you're ready for your conclusion is hit enter, center your text again. It's going to be centered much like your discussion section here. Center, write out the word conclusion, highlight it, bold it, hit enter, flush your text back to the left with the align left key, turn your bold off, tab because we're starting a new paragraph, and you can begin your conclusion. conclusion is basically wrapping up your paper. Much like you had a summary at the intro, the conclusion summarizes and wraps up your entire paper, where you can say whether you thought the research was sufficient to prove a point, whether you wish there was more things that you could find on the information, so on and so forth. So now that you've written your conclusion, you've written your entire body of your paper, the next page would be the resources page, reference page, or works cited page.